Hey scrappy friends, this is Mags from Mags Graphics, and I'd like to show you two new packs of enhanced digital art that I'll be releasing in the stores on September 27th, when lots of new enhanced digital art will be available for Artisan Software at forever. So here are two of the packs, the everyday stamp frames and the everyday hanging tags. So I'm going to hide these for now. And let's talk about the stamp frames. When you purchase the everyday stamp frames, and here is a close-up of that preview, you're going to have 12 enhanced frames with the photo drops included. When you get this product, you will notice that all of the elements start with the word group. This is so it's easily searchable in all of your content when you're looking for specifically grouped items. And we have quite the assortment. So I'm going to grab one set and do add to page. It's thinking, of course. And here is an example of what you would have. It looks like it's all one piece, but it's actually a layered cluster. You can, of course, drag and drop a photo into the photo drops, but you won't be able to zoom in or edit unless you ungroup this item. So we can do grouping, ungroup, and now you see that you've got the frame, and you also have the 4 different photo drops. So you can drag and drop a picture into one of these, and then you'll be able to zoom in, zoom out, just like normal. So let's see, here's one picture I can drop in. You can move it around, zoom it in, zoom it out, do the same adding in pictures. Then with your frame, you can leave it as is. It has a very light texture to it and a very small bevel. If you would like to have a shadow over your picture just on the frame, once you ungroup it, you'll be able to go in and add either a heavy or most likely a light shadow, but that would put shadows inside. Not exactly how a stamp sheet would work because it would be all one piece, but in the land of digital scrapbooking, we can do what we want. If you want the shadow to be just on the outside, then after you've added your photos and arranged and zoomed in or out the way that you want, you would group them back together. Then you would add your shadow. And now it only adds on the outside edge, not inside each of those photos. The other thing, once you've ungrouped these items, that you're able to do is to change the color and add your own textures or bevels to the frame. Because it's white, it's not easily, you can't easily just change the hue because it's already white. But you can go ahead and just flat out change the color. So we could fill this with a different color. And then we could go up to the filter ribbon, choose a texture. I have the amplification way down because on here I would want just a very light texture, not something dark. And if I wanted to add a small bevel, I could either go to the effects ribbon or add an effect, 3D bevel, and I could choose just a very small one on the outside edge, not quite the width. So you could have however you want to do it. When it's white, it does have a very small bevel and some small textures on it. Let me group this back up and hide it so we can show you some of the other pieces that you'll find in this kit. One of which is a big 8 square with room to journal or put a big embellishment in the center. Same thing, it comes in as a group and you just ungroup it to be able to customize. Here's some horizontal stamp frames with space to customize. Here is sort of a sideways Polaroid frame. And of course, if you wanted to, you could turn this and you would just need to replace the photo inside. So we would just then insert an empty frame, make it the same size and shape as the original that is sideways, and we can cover it over. Or in this case, because it was a square, we could take that and turn it back around. If it was, and then always also resize. I mean, there's lots of possibilities within Artisan Software. This back up. Here's another one of the sets that you'll have, or packs in here. This one's a little smaller. You could always copy it and run it down the page. There's also some options if you wanted to cut something apart, after you have added your photos in here. And I will just, let's see, don't have a good handy photo. Let's see, let me find the horizontal one instead. Okay. All right, so we will add these family pictures into, whoops, not that way. Make sure it turns yellow. These are some old family photos from when my kids were much younger. Now we could go up to the cut ribbon, and if I wanted to cut a whole strip off, I could line it up. It is going to ask you to flatten. I have those things turned off. I just say automatically flatten. Keep both areas, cut. And now if we wanted to, we could always make it look like it's coming off, off of the section. Once it's flattened though, these are all together. You couldn't do any more edits to them, but it's easy enough to add something new to your page. So those are the everyday stamp frames. The other thing that we have going on, let me hide these, are the everyday hanging tags. These are a lot of fun. It comes with 12 enhanced group tags. We'll go and pull these up. And there's a lot of customization that you'll be able to do with these. So here's the general preview of what you will receive, and let's add some to the page. There are a couple that have vellum inside, like this one. Let me add this back on for a second so you can see, oops, not that one. You can see behind it that there's, it's transparent-ish in the back, just to make a vellum look to it. You right click and ungroup. Now, when these were created, all of the shadows for it are pulled off into completely separate layers. You can always use the shadows that are within Artisan, but there are some fun things you can do with them being on the separate layer. First, when you ungroup them, we've got the basic ribbon. You'll have the original in the back, but you'll notice there's also the little piece in front. And you can change the hue and saturation of both of those up in the color ribbon very easily. You keep them together though, so that you wouldn't want to move one without the other. Otherwise you don't have that little piece. The little piece will be off. You also have your rivet that is gray, which means the hue will not work. But if you wanted to turn it gold, you could use a wash, or any color, you could use a wash. If you wanted it more brassy, you could also use the sepia, which would turn it into a more gold option instead, if you didn't want whatever original color that it was. Same way with this outer metal frame. Because it is already gray, hue is not the best choice, but wash can add color, and you can change the brightness, change the saturation. You can also, if you want it to be gold, use the sepia option and it'll change it into more of a gold brass look to it. If you don't like the vellum that is in here, you can always replace this with your own shape, with your own rectangle. Click on both of them, make the same size. one over the other, bring this down. Now you have your own shape that is in there. The other nice thing is because the shadows are on each separate layer, and please be cautious before you delete those. If you don't want to use them, you could just turn them off. For example, this little bit of shadow is just working with this little bit of string. But this big piece back here is neat because moving it around gives it the illusion that it is much farther off your page. Same way with bringing it down, it makes it look as if it is lifted off the page. So there's some fun things you can do with these separate shadows that are on here. Another fun one is this tag that has the leather strap on it. But maybe whatever you want to say, this bit of leather is in your way. So there's some things that you can do with this. We can go and click on the top leather knot and the shadow that goes with it. I'm going to group those together. And now I'm going to move them out of the way and line them back up over the hole. Now you've got space here and it's not in your way. If it was, in the first place. You can also change the hue saturation. Same way, all of the shadows are different. So if you wanted to make this look like it was lifting off the page, you would just drag that down a little bit. Now it looks as if it's pulling up, and you didn't even mess with the tie itself. You just changed the shadows, which can be lots of fun. Even down here, you can take just the shadow and make it look as if it's lifting up. There's a lot of different neat things you can do when the shadows are on their own separate layer. This one is a chalkboard tag. So it has a little bit of chalkboard inside using a white text. Could be very fun on top of this, but the same way, you can always change the colors. You would make sure you get the back ribbon and the front ribbon, and then you can change your hue, saturation, to adjust it for whatever color matches your page. You can also do that for the metal on the outside. Because this one is already a color, I use the green that's typically was around, reminds me of a chalkboard, but because it's not gray, you could change it with the hue and saturation if you wanted to. You could also grayscale it if you want it to be gray as well. So the hanging tags are giving you lots of options. And because you have the original piece in the back of each one, if you wanted to use this on a different tag, you could always copy and paste these over and put them on another one. For example, if you didn't want these, we can move this out of the way. And that little bit here. We're going to take this and the shadow and the knot and the other one, and we're going to move it over here. And now it's attached to the other one. So a lot of possibilities with both of these sets. I hope you'll grab them up and then show off your layouts. The Everyday series is meant to mix and match with all kits. Any designer, any of my kits, they're supposed to be neutral enough that you can use them on anything that you might need. And I can't wait to see what you make. Thanks.